What is going on, IF Warriors? So today we're going to look at want to lose weight? Question mark. Doctors say it's time to stop counting calories. Now, I have not watched this, so I want to watch it for the first time with you guys, and then, you know, we could probably look into what exactly are they referring to. Is this an intuitive eating thing? Because we all know how I feel about intuitive eating, right? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. Let's see what they say. Should be interesting, I guess. This is from Good Morning America, I think, or what's this from? It's from something. Whatever. Let's go.
It's the weight loss mantra that doctors have been touting for decades. Eat less, move more, and those extra pounds will disappear. Advice that 42-year-old Jennifer Haynes says she tried to follow.
Did anything ever click or work?
Not really. Every time I would do it, I couldn't stick with it.
How did the weight gain affect you physically?
Physically, I was very tired. I was very depressed.
A brand new report by a group of obesity doctors and scientists.
The American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, one of my go-to places for a lot of the studies. Also the Lancet and the British Journal of Clinical Nutrition, which is also very, very good. There's so many out there. There's so many. But one thing that I can't stand is that it's like whatever the newest study says, that's the consensus. It's almost like when you feed this to people, right? That's why I'm always putting new studies, different studies. And every time I'm talking about a new study, I'm always referencing meta-analysis and body of work when it comes to one specific question that we're always trying to find out, and the different ways that you can create that control or randomized control trial with different people, because it's the breadth of information that matters more than the newest information. Just because it's new doesn't make it like it transcends something that came out in 2005. Really is all about the methodology. But they're gonna do this thing, right? They're gonna do this whole new studies are showing, and they know that leans people into the direction of saying, well, these new studies must be the thing that is this thing overturns the old studies. That's not how it works, guys.
Finds that telling people to eat less could actually be causing more harm than good, and that restricting calories not only causes people to be more hungry, but also...
We are moving in to intuitive eating. Before I continue, put down in the comment section if you think that this thing is going to talk about intuitive eating. Just put it in the comment section. Let me know. I promise you guys, I have not watched this. I could be wrong, but the words that they're saying, everything that they're saying, talking about, it looks like they're moving into intuitive eating. I'll be stoked if I'm correct.
So slows down metabolism.
The body fights back against calorie restriction.
I hate when they say this. Of course, losing weight will slow down your metabolism, because that is the entire element that comes with the process of losing weight. The more weight you have, the more you have to burn, right? The more energy you take to move the same movements that you would do if you were smaller, right? So it's an automatic thing. When you reduce your calories and you lose weight, your metabolism will inevitably slow down. There's no way you could keep your metabolism up here, lose all your weight, and your metabolism no, it's a thing that's kind of correlated or connected, right? It's connected. You're gonna, you don't weigh that much. That means your runs are gonna be more comfortable. Less energy is gonna be required. Less energy is gonna be required for you to walk, for you to stand up, for you to do anything. So things will start to slow down, especially since you're, oh my God. It's just annoying how people use this as a scare tactic when it is automatically the case no matter what you do.
Harvard pediatrician and endocrinologist Dr. David Ludwig is the report's lead author.
Oh, look at David
He and his
Ludwig.
colleagues are suggesting a whole new approach called the carbohydrate insulin model. The idea...
So I'm wrong. It wasn't... This proves that you see, hey, look, I have not watched this. I'm looking at this in real time. Okay, so the carbohydrate insulin model. Is this a low carb diet? Because they're talking about insulin, and carbohydrate is glucose. Or carbohydrate contains glucose, which can increase insulin secretion. So are they saying to
is simple.
That's wild.
If overeating isn't fueling obesity, stop counting calories and just cut carbohydrates to control your insulin levels.
This is when this is when you just look at studies literally every week, 4 to 5 times a week, multiple studies. I could kind of sense what they're going to say by the way they title their things. Cut carbohydrates, control your insulin levels.
Too much insulin, fat cells get programmed to hoard calories so that there aren't too many calories in the bloodstream, there are too few. And that's why we get hungry.
Now, more research is finding that low-carb diets are not only effective, they're sustainable. Something Jennifer found out firsthand when she signed up for a low-carb study at Ohio State University in 2019, led by researcher Jeff Volek, who has been studying low-carb diets for 25 years. He put Jennifer on a diet that contained 37 grams of carbs a day and had high protein and healthy fats like
high protein is always good. Always go high protein, in my opinion. Always, because it helps a lot. It's one of the more essential elements that you need for your body, especially for retaining muscle, building muscle. But it's also the highest thermic, it has the highest thermic effect of all of the other macronutrients. Protein has over 30% of a thermic effect, which means for every 100 calories you eat, 30 of those calories are used just to consume just to break down the food that you just ate. So it's really good. While, carbohydrates has like something around like 10 to 15, and then fats is like something like 2 to 5 thermic effect.
Avocados and nuts. After just 6 weeks, Jennifer lost 20 pounds.
So this is just 6 weeks later and all this white fat has been reduced from what we see.
Yes, and this is the type of fat you really want to target.
And kept going.
3 years later, how much weight have you lost in total?
All in total, about 88 pounds.
You lost 88 pounds?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a big deal.
Yes, it's
like a huge deal.
Yeah.
Jennifer says the diet wasn't easy at first. She was forced to cut out her favorite foods like pasta and potatoes, but seeing results was all the motivation she needed.
So once you get used to it and your kids get used to it, it's way easier because you can do it all as a family.
And she's not alone. Volek studies have found that people on low-carb diets can lose more than 10% of their body weight and keep it off.
Losing more than 10% of your body weight is also a misdirection statement, because body weight, the thing is, people assimilate everything with what's already on their minds. We're talking about fat loss. We're communicating about fat loss, right? So if I say you could lose 10% of your body weight after just speaking about fat loss, your brain automatically extrapolates that sentence to mean that body weight is equivalent. 10% of body weight equals 10% of body fat. But there are so many different things that trigger body weight loss. Glycogen depletion, water release, water retention increases weight, water release decreases weight, and muscle breakdown. That's also part of it. And usually when you go on a low carb diet, one of the first things that happen is a lot of glycogen depletion, and glycogen contains water. So that's going to take a lot of water weight off of you. So 10% body weight is a misleading statement. Not saying that low carb diets are not a thing you could do or whatever. There's other studies that contradict a lot of these things, but regardless of the fact, when they say body weight, always be mindful that it doesn't necessarily mean body fat.
What actually happens to the body when you're on a low carb diet?
When you limit carbohydrates, the body gets really good at burning its own body fat because it doesn't have a lot of sugar to burn for fuel.
Something that Jennifer says has been a game changer.
I feel great. It's easier for me to get up. It's easier for me to go to sleep. And I feel a lot more comfortable with myself.
But just keep in mind that the brain, this is the brain, right? The brain needs sugar, right? So what ends up, they're simplifying it, but the brain needs sugar. So it normally takes it from glycogen. Glycogen is normally derives from carbohydrates, right? Sugar, bread, things like that. They break that down, turn it into glucose, store it, and then the glycogen goes to power the brain. It gives the brain energy. But When there is no more and all of it has been depleted and you have not replenished it, what happens is your body has a fail-safe system where it goes into ketosis. So it produces ketones as the substitute for glucose. And the way it does this, it goes through via the liver, a process called beta hydroxybutyrate, and it uses fat triglycerides. It takes it from the fat cells, puts it through the liver, and now turns this new thing into the new energy that your brain can use. But your brain can only use it for about 77% of its energy resource. It still needs glycogen. So after a certain period, this is why there should be some times of replenishing and some times of secreting. After a certain period, if you don't replenish it at a certain point, it will start doing glucose neogenesis, which is it starts to tap into muscle tissue to break down to provide itself that additional percentage that it needs for the direct sugar, direct glucose. It can only work off of ketones for around 77% of its resource. So that is an important element to know.
So one of the most interesting things about this new approach is that it also eliminates some of the stigma surrounding obesity, which is typically treated as a behavioral problem. But doctors often assume that people are overweight because they simply eat too much. But instead, it actually takes the blame away from the patient and looks at obesity as a biological problem, really focusing on regulating the hormone insulin. And that
I do agree with this in terms of we have to stop looking at weight loss and the process of losing weight as a mathematical equation, right? Because it's very dismissive of the hormonal activations, the biological complexity in the human body, and that creates what makes you want to eat more, what makes you want to overeat or overeat on your calories and things of that nature. There's more to it than a mathematical problem, because if it was just a mathematical problem, it would be very easy, because it's very simple math, right? It'll be very easy. Just eat more, just eat less than what you burn and you will lose weight. But for some reason, people still, even with knocking on death's door, can't do it, which means it's not that the person doesn't want to, they do, but there's more things, more complicated things happening within the body, within the biology. And it's not just the mental, it's also things that your body's doing, driving you, increasing ghrelin to increase your hunger hormones, decreasing leptin to decrease which decreases the sensation of feeling full. It delays when you're actually full and when it tells you that you're actually full, when it sends that signal to your brain. Whereas what happens is people then in that instance could overeat to the point where they're so stuffed they can't even breathe, they can't even sleep right. This is because you were overeating. You were eating past the moment of when you were full, but because your leptin decreased, you weren't able to know in time. So there's a lot of things that happen where your body is trying to force you into a certain direction. There's even the body set point theory, but that's something for another video.
they say is what it's all about.
But besides just, dropping the weight, I mean, are there other benefits here?
Tons of other benefits. In fact, that researcher, Jeff Volek, that we just spoke to, he's been studying low-carb diets for 25 years. And what's fascinating is that now they're doing new studies to figure out what else it's really affecting. They're looking at different types of cancers and even just your mental health. And the studies so far are really promising.
But low carb has been around for a long time. I guess you never really knew that the science kind of backed it up.
Exactly. Like the Atkins diet.
Al and I did keto for a while. Like, remember, we were on that phase. But this is low carb, not no carb.
It's also interesting you pointed out she didn't exercise at all?
She did not exercise at all. She said she did not lift a finger. She didn't do anything differently. And keto, for example, is
because you don't necessarily have to exercise. Exercising does help the process, but you don't. You just have to be at an overall caloric deficit. So it's like when people are like, she didn't exercise, it's like they connect things. Like, I've been told that you have to exercise, you have to eat well, you have to eat greens, you have to, and it's like, okay, buddy, but all of these things, all they do is help facilitate the overall important element for weight loss being a caloric deficit. That's all it does. Exercising helps you burn more calories, therefore you could eat more, which while still being at a caloric deficit, making eating a little bit easier. Plus there's other things where it helps continuously burn, the post exercise burning that takes place, the EPOC effect. So there's so many things, but it all just helps facilitate the one rule of caloric deficit.
The more extreme form of this type of low carb. But again, it's, as Savannah said, it's low carb, but you can have a few things here and there.
But I will say,
sustainable then.
I will say the exercise, and not extreme exercise, but like we're doing that start today, the 30-day walking challenge. That improves, I think, your mental health combined with a low carb diet. And I mean, I've lost about 45 pounds in the last several months, and but again, but only doing I do about 100 grams of carbs a day,
and then you walk.
And I walk.
So watching,
but you don't just walk. I've seen your workout. You do weights. You do. I mean, like you do like real exercise.
Well, look, I'm the oldest person here. I'm trying to last a little while.
You're the most energetic.
You are. You got more juice than anybody.
You will outlive all of us.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
guys.
That was eye-opening.
Okay, so cool. This is just another repackaging of the Atkins diet, the keto diet, and this is low carb diet. It's just a repackaging, really. There are so many studies out there already. I hate when they look at the recent studies. That's a thing that tricks people to believe that this thing has overturned the old studies. That's not the case. And in fact, what's more important is the consistency of the results that you see over the course of years of studies. And that is more powerful than what's the newest thing have to say. Anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you want me to continue doing videos like this? Because I'm just going to go watch these videos on the fly and talk about them on the fly. All right. So until next time, guys, peace out.